Good morning. Welcome to Mornings with Mike and Susie. How is everyone doing today?
Hello, you guys. We missed you last week, and it's so funny how we take 1 week off, and I feel like it's been like a month.
I know.
Doesn't it feel like it's been forever
Yes.
since we've done this?
Yeah.
It's so easy to get out of routine. So,
how was your spring break? Last week was spring break here in Central New York.
Woo-hoo.
And I don't know if it was all Central New York, but our school district
I think it
anyways.
was all New York
really?
State.
Okay.
And based on the people we encountered while we were traveling, it was also spring break for Michigan,
Yep.
Georgia.
Yep.
That's all I got. I'm guessing like Pennsylvania, some of the other states around us, but we met a lot of people from Michigan and a lot of people from Georgia.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. We went on a little road trip. It's the first time we've really done a vacation like this with our kids, and
yeah, I think so.
we just decided that we wanted to take a road trip and explore a city in the United States, see my ultimate dream. So we're kind of working towards my dream. This was like step one. The ultimate dream is to rent an RV, camper, like a motorhome,
Right.
and drive across the country.
Did you ever do that as a child?
No.
So I think that you've glamorized this idea
I'm
because
sure I have.
I would like to talk to somebody that has actually done this. I know.
Is there
that
anybody
this is
watching
your-
that has?
Yeah,
Maybe.
has
Let us know.
anybody, even as a child, done an RV trip? Although you know that doing something as a child is entirely different than being the parent that's responsible for like emptying the septic of the RV. These are the things I think about.
These are the things that I do not think about.
Right.
I just think about being on the road, driving a big old RV,
Right.
going to some place like Mount Rushmore.
You have always had a dream to go to Mount Rushmore.
Yes,
but
in an
there's-
RV.
In an RV. But there's like no reason we've ever had to go to, it's South Dakota, I think.
I don't know.
So-
It's out west somewhere. I want to go.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the RV. I get the idea of it, but I enjoy being able to go into a hotel room
Yeah.
and leave my wet towels on the floor when I'm on vacation.
Right. But
So-
anyways, we'll get into that.
Yeah,
I
so
hit the
share
mark.
with us if you ever have done like a long road trip, and especially if you've done an RV trip, what do you guys think about it? We actually did look into it a couple years ago, and oh my goodness, it is crazy expensive. So unless you own an RV or like it was, like
I just looked up.
$7,000.
I just looked up one random place, and I think I did like 2 weeks going, and I figured out the miles going Mount Rushmore and then down south, I think through Colorado, and like it was
way more expensive than like an all-inclusive.
but it was 2 weeks and like thousands and thousands of miles. So maybe you do it a shorter trip first, maybe.
So Maddie says Massachusetts was also on spring break last week, which makes sense.
Yeah.
And Tina did say emptying the toilet in the camper is an experience. I just have visions of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation of the brother that pulled up in his, was that an RV? Pulled up in his RV
Motorhome, yeah.
and the big explosion that happened in the sewer system. So Dory said, how about traveling in a station wagon when you are 16 and surrounded by 6 younger siblings and parents? That sounds like every 16-year-old's worst nightmare, I have to say. But our kids love road trips. They love them, and I think it's because from the time they were teeny tiny, we were going on really long, like 22-hour road trips with them.
Yeah.
So they're pros.
I always tell Addie, because she asks to go to, like, she's like, oh, I want to go to California, or, you know, and I'm like, well, you've been to California. We took Addie when she was, do you remember?
2 weeks old.
2 weeks old, 14 days old.
Yep.
We flew with her to Phoenix, Arizona. And then
we took her to a conference.
Took her, yeah.
And I remember taking her out of the auditorium because it was so loud. And, well, you know what? We were at an arena. Do you remember? They had a service at this, it was a church service. They had at this huge stadium. And so the music was just like ear blasting. Yeah. So I remember taking her out into the like hallway areas. And then we drove. No,
you flew. I drove to LA in California, and we went on vacation and
San Diego.
We did the zoo
there when she was just itty bitty.
So I tell her, you've already been those places. You don't need to go back. But this past week, we had a blast. We took off Sunday afternoon, right after our last Easter service, and we took off for Nashville, Tennessee. But we kind of went down through Virginia, West Virginia, into East Tennessee, and our first stop was the Smoky Mountains, and we have a picture of our family there in the Smoky Mountains. That was up top of the Sky Bridge.
It was fun. You rode like a ski lift to get there, and they had suspension bridge, and part of it had a glass floor, which was really fun. So we really liked the Smoky Mountains. My sister was making fun of me because we don't even really like country music. So she was like,
I don't listen to it. I don't really.
Why are you going to Nashville if you don't even like country music? But it was great.
It was. I had a blast. Yeah. And so then we went from the Smoky Mountains. We moved west and spent a few days in Nashville. And we got another picture there of picture of you and I on this really cool, just a cool little outdoor shopping area with a wall that says Nashville.
Yeah, tons of shopping, tons of restaurants.
Yeah, and one of the cool things that we did in Nashville that our oldest daughter was really excited about was they have a life-size, I think it's an exact replica of the Parthenon that is in Athens, Greece.
Well, the real Parthenon is crumbling because it's so old.
Well,
but
true.
Yes, they built it as I don't know, I can't think of the word. A replica.
Yeah, it's a replica. It's the dimensions and everything. And you don't realize, you can see the people there in the up front, like it is huge. And if you're not aware of what, the Parthenon, it is inside, is there's a statue of Athena. And so if you're not familiar with Greek mythology, that is the
we had no idea about any of this.
Yeah, I don't really.
Our daughters knew about it and wanted to visit. So that we just did this to make her dream come true, which was so much fun.
Yeah.
But we did learn that the statue inside is the largest indoor statue in, I think, half of the world.
Oh, is it maybe only half?
I don't remember.
It's 42 feet tall.
42 feet.
And that is and it's 24 karat gold layered, plated.
24 karat gold.
Yeah, and 24 is old.
So the little statue that she's holding in her hand was over 6 feet tall. Yeah. Just to give you an idea of how big it was. So.
Yeah, that little statue there you see in their hand again. It was 6.5 feet tall. That little statue in her hand, and so.
Brandy said their craziest road trip was moving from Cali to Virginia when she was 6 months pregnant and had 2 kids in the backseat. And driving long road trips when you're pregnant is no joke. That is the only time that we're on road trips that you would stop. You would happily and gladly stop anytime I needed to stop to use the bathroom.
Not arguing with a pregnant woman.
No problem, honey. But when I'm not pregnant, which is all the other days of my life except for several months, how do you feel about stopping?
I don't like to stop.
No, which is fine. I don't really like to either.
Get
right.
There.
So the way home,
man on a mission.
The way home was 9 hours, and I'm jumping.
Yes,
I'm skipping a little bit, but I wanted to say the drive home, which was 9 hours because we left from Kentucky. You can tell them why in a minute. We only stopped one time in 9 hours with 2 kids, and that was to get lunch and gas up and go to the bathroom. And our kids no one had to use the bathroom. That's
what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but we do have Let me tell you, the number one rule that you need to set for your family if you're on a long road trip, it will change everything.
Yeah.
You only drink water. If you only drink water, it reduces the amount of pee breaks that you have to take.
Not a pee break fan. So after the statue, one of the things that we did, it's just kind of funny because I never even heard of this place before. Susie told me, hey, we're doing a backstage tour of the Grand Ole Opry.
You've heard of the Grand Ole Opry?
No, I haven't. I never had heard about that in my life. I had no idea what it was.
You had no idea?
No idea. I had none.
And you let me spend that much money on backstage passes?
I was like, okay. I'm like, I guess it'll be cool to see the backstage. I kind of like, lighting and sound and audio, really visual stuff. Honey. I kind of like that kind of stuff. So I'm like, hey, this would be cool how they do it at a professional level.
So that's the picture of us in front of the entrance. Yeah. Which it's really pretty there. They have a lot of flowers and landscaping there, and it's just a really nice place to visit, even if you just walk around.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I figured it was some place that, country singers sang, but I didn't know. So
you kind of knew.
I never heard of it. After you told me.
You had never heard of the Grand Ole?
No,
okay.
Never.
All I have to say is he's Canadian. All right? So don't send us hate mail. Just remember he grew up in Canada.
Yeah, I had never heard of that. And so after you said it, I just assumed, okay, I guess this is a place that country singers sing, I guess.
Okay.
But it was
on
really
that
cool.
Note,
no, but
it was like your favorite thing we did.
I think it might have been. It was we walked in and they took us into this small little room that they showed us this video. But it was like a mini theater. And I mean, they had lighting and haze and like the way that they did the...
You love your lighting and haze.
But the way that they did the video even, they projected the video on, I don't even know what that stuff was hanging.
It was like curtain. It was a curtain, but it was made of string.
Yeah, and it was like...
It was amazing.
But the video was like, it was like 12-minute video of the Opry and the history and how it started,
the country music stars that have been inducted into their membership. And like I said, we're not even country music fans. We didn't even know half the people that they were talking about, but the video was so inspiring. It was
powerful. It was like,
we were both crying.
I was like, oh my gosh, like I want to be a country star. Like I want to sing country. Like after watching that video, it's like, oh my goodness.
It was worth it.
Yeah.
That video was amazing, and just that experience. And they talked about the circle. So the original Grand Ole Opry was in the Ryman Theater, and they no longer use it for this anymore, but they cut out the wood of the circle shape that the stars sing on when they're standing on the stage, and they moved that into this new Grand Ole Opry house. And they talked about what it's like to stand on the circle, and it was very inspiring just hearing about people's dreams coming true. And it was really cool.
Did you stand on the stage at the microphone? Yes, we did.
Yes, we did do that, Brandy.
I don't have a picture of it here, but yes, we were able to. It's on our. I think I posted a picture of Ivy on my personal Facebook page.
We took our own pictures because we were too cheap to buy the pictures they buy. So then I took a picture of their picture. But we got our own pictures from the side of standing on the circle in front of the microphone. Each one of us did it, except for our teenager who could not handle one more picture being taken of herself. So she declined.
And then after we left Nashville, we headed north back home. We stopped in Kentucky and stopped at the Ark. And that was a pretty cool experience.
Did you want to go to the Ark, be honest?
Yeah.
I did not. I wanted to just relax and go home at this point.
I thought, at the actual day, I was like, okay, I probably don't really, when we planned the trip, I wanted to.
Yeah.
But then that day, it was
we were kind of worn out. It was like a 4-hour drive from Nashville to the Ark, which is not bad.
Yeah.
But we were just running
But at the end of a long week, it was tiring. And so
what did
I'm
you
just
think about
glad.
the Ark?
Does the worst part or the bad reviews that we read were all about the lines.
I'm a big
how long
review
it takes to get. They said you could wait hours just to get into the Ark. Well, I don't know if it's a combination of COVID and it was raining. Kind of.
It was the worst day of the week.
Yes. It was raining on the day we went to the Ark, so that was kind of neat. But there was nobody there. Like, we didn't wait in line for a single thing. And it was just like we wandered with the Ark, saw anytime we wanted. It was great. It was
We
awesome.
also got there later in the afternoon. We got there like 3 and they closed at 7. And we had read that it takes about 3 hours to walk through the Ark, which that was kind of daunting too because we were all tired.
Yeah.
But it was super cool, a really cool experience. Yeah. Definitely recommend it.
It is gigantic.
It's gigantic, yeah.
Huge.
And they have a lot of attractions around the Ark that you can do. Like they have zip lining, a zoo, a virtual reality, a nice park if you have little kids. We didn't do any of that because it was raining and we were just done. But
so Brandy just said, "Oh my gosh, never heard of the Grand Ole Opry."
What's
See?
wrong with you?
Yes. Thank you.
No, she's saying she can't believe you've never heard of it.
No.
Yes, she knows what it is. She asked if we stood on the circle.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I misinterpreted your...
Honey,
I guess
you were the only person living in the United States that has never heard of the Grand Ole Opry. Sorry, babe.
I kind of want to watch it now, though.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
We did look at tickets for the night we were there. They were $200 a piece. And we didn't even know the people that were singing.
Yeah.
I heard of one of them. So anyway, it was a super fun vacation. How was your spring break? Brandy said that they did some local things with the kids. There are tons of fun things to do for a staycation too.
Yeah.
And
this is the first time we've gone away on a vacation like this on spring break. So we've done the staycation spring break forever. So there's lots of things to do here locally, and but yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
So let's go to our morning devotion verse of the day found in the Bible app.
Hold on a second.
Okay, what?
Somebody commented, Tina, I love you, Tina. She said she thinks she might be the only Canadian who has never heard of the Grand Ole Opry. So how do you feel about that, honey?
Now I was a hockey player. What do you want?
What do you want from him?
Come on.
He was a male hockey player.
Like,
he doesn't care about these things. Jeez. Yeah. All right, what's our verse of the day?
Is Psalm 46, verse 10.
Okay. Oh, I know that one.
Be still and know I am God. Mm-hmm. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. I don't know if we do such a great job at being still.
Right.
It's hard in this culture. It's hard in this
very hard
day and age that we live in to be still because we are so busy. Mm-hmm. We just go. And that is one of the reasons why, I don't know if it was 2 years ago now, 3 years ago, I decided, I think it was the summer of 18, I decided, favorite song, FYI.
You sound old when you start saying the summer of and then a year.
Okay.
That's okay, go ahead.
I lost my train of thought. I think it was the summer of 18 that I decided I need to get up early so I have time to be still. Like I want to get up before, I 3 girls,
before I start talking
3 kids, 4 girls in the house. I mean, it is loud. It is just moving all the time. And I just needed some time to be still.
There's a lot of life in
I love it. But I need some time from still and quiet. So I decided the only way this is going to happen, I'm either have to stay up really late or get up really early.
Which is what I do.
Yeah. So I get up at, around 5 a.m., between 5 and 5:30, and that is my time just to have a coffee and to be still and just quiet. It's my time that I get to read, pray, and just relax and have some stillness in my life before I start my day. And so I don't know when that is for you. It might be, at noon. I don't know what your schedule is, but I want to encourage you to find some time to be still with the Lord and just some time to relax and just And it doesn't have to be for an hour, but just some time where we can just kind of, like it says, be still and know that I am God, to spend time with him.
I only have one tattoo, and it is, see, my watch kind of covers it up, so it's hard to see. I'll just take this off. But it is, can you guys see? Oh, it is the word still. And someday I'll tell you all the story about that. But I was actually having a conversation with somebody yesterday, and just reminding them that in every relationship in our life, when we have conversation with somebody, we know that a conversation is not just me talking to you, right? Although probably the majority of our conversation is me talking to you and you listening. But every conversation, every relationship in our lives, when when I go have coffee with a friend, I'm not just talking for the entire hour that I'm hanging out with that person. But yet, when we think of prayer of us just talking and dumping everything on God. Yeah. But the reality is that our relationship with God is just that. It's a relationship, right? And so there needs to be a two-way conversation, which means we have to take time to be still, to shut up, to stop talking, and just to listen. And man, it's so easy to forget that. We think the more words that I say, the more passionate I am, that's having a better prayer time. But sometimes the most profound times that we can spend with God is just being quiet, just sitting with him.
Yeah. So make sure you find some time, if you haven't yet today, to be still. Tomorrow, this week, it's good. Find a little bit of time every day to just be still and allow the Holy Spirit to speak to you, to encourage you, to inspire you, to fill you with faith and his promises. And it's easily, my favorite time of the day is that morning where it's quiet and it's just me and God, and I can just relax and be still.
It's time well spent.
Yeah. I never regret it.
No.
So
it's good, honey. So our favorite things for today is something kind of simple, kind of small, but it is this little K-cup. Now, you are an obsessive coffee drinker.
Yes.
How much cups of coffee do you think you have a day?
I don't know, 4 to 6.
Okay.
6-ish.
How much coffee do you guys have a day? Share with us in the comments. I'd like to see what the average is. I have probably 1 coffee a day, maybe 2. If it's a weekend, I'll maybe have 2, but generally I have a coffee every morning. But then I don't like to drink it all day long, mostly because I'm not very sensitive to caffeine. And so I don't get any kind of caffeine, like...
kick?
Right. There's no kick for me when I drink coffee. So I can literally drink 2 shots of espresso and then go to bed, and I would be completely fine. So, but what I do like to drink during the day is tea. And if you are in a hurry and you don't want to mess with like the tea bag and I guess that's it, the tea bag.
It's funny. Sorry, keep going.
Then these are actually English breakfast tea K-cups. You're not very good at that.
I'm trying to figure out because the way
it's hard to figure out
you
which
turn
way to
it on camera.
It's opposite. So they're nice. They're convenient. You just pop them in, and I actually think it tastes really, really good because it is like an instant tea, right? You're not like brewing a tea bag,
right.
So it's some kind of an instant, but it's really good. So if you're a tea drinker, I think you should give it a try. Lots of 1 or 2 cups of coffee comments coming in.
So this is my 3rd cup today that I'm on right now.
But you've been up early, so.
Yeah. But you know what's funny is I don't drink. I'm not a tea drinker. So this K-cup was in our kitchen in our office here at the church. And I just glanced at it. I was like, oh, English breakfast. That sounds like a new.
You thought it was a coffee.
That sounds like a new coffee.
Did.
Yes, I'll try that. English breakfast.
Tried it.
So I put it in, and then, I put my creamer in. I'm looking at it, I'm like.
Because there is like a breakfast blend coffee.
Yeah.
We should call this show Things Mike Didn't Know.
There'd be a very long list. and so I usually put my creamer in before the, like you can see the color of it. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, that seems a lot like creamier, lighter.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, I didn't think anything of it. Go in, start drinking. I'm like, tastes a little different. This is tea.
Did you know it was tea, or did you drink
it? No, it took me a while to drink it before.
Did you finish it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So maybe you do
good.
like tea.
It's not that I don't like it. It's that I just don't drink it. So.
Dory said she wasn't sensitive to caffeine until she got in her 50s. So there's still hope for me. I wish that I could get a little pick-me-up from it. So maybe. A few more years. So, our marriage minute today is we have a couple of tips for you. If you are married, if you're in a relationship, we have some tips for you today. Do you want to kick it off for the ladies? All right. So, I feel like I should talk to the men and you should talk to the women.
Okay.
That would be more insightful.
All right.
So, why don't you...
I'll talk to the ladies.
Why don't you tell the girls what you think we need to know?
Thanks for that setup.
This is gonna go well.
Wives.
Let's hear it. We're leaning in. We're listening.
Tell your husbands what you want.
Okay.
We cannot read your minds. I know this might come across as a shock to you. This might be a novel idea. Maybe you just assumed that we are mind readers, but we are not. We cannot read your mind as much as you would like us to. We are very simple creatures. And even the best of us, the smartest of us, which I'm not saying I'm one of them, but we cannot read minds. And I think this is, one of the areas where you can get into trouble in arguments where the wife, the female, just expects their husband to know what they are thinking.
What they want.
What they want, yeah.
So can you give us a practical example, a time that you have felt like I wanted you to read my mind and just know something, and if I would have just
I think it'd be easier if you come up with it.
Yeah. So I think probably the best example is with housework.
Yes, okay, yeah.
Like, I feel like that's been a conflict for us, and you have said this to me. Like, if you want me to do something, just tell me and I'll do it.
I'll do it. Yeah.
Like if I'm cleaning up the house or doing something and you're sitting relaxing, and I'm like shooting you ugly stares, because I want you to help, you'll be like, listen, if you want me to dry the dishes, just ask me and I'll do it. Yeah,
because in my mind, like I've thought some things through. Like I'm simple, but I think things through. Like, hey, before dinner I'm gonna have dinner, I'm gonna eat, and then I want to sit down and relax for a little bit.
Right.
So I've already pre-thought that through. And so when we've had dinner, let's for example say we have dinner, okay, and then I sit down to relax.
Yeah.
And then in your mind, you have decided that you are going to do housework. I'm like, well, I don't want to do housework now. But yet you think that I should, but I don't know that you think that I should.
Right.
And
I think that's a good tip. I think that's a good one, honey. And Dory agrees. She said after 14 years of marriage, she still thinks that her husband should have an idea of what she's... But, it's the challenge comes in, and I've said this to you before, I don't want to feel like your mom. Mm-hmm. I don't want to feel like you're another one of my kids, and I'm like...
Right.
Okay, now you need to go take out the trash or go do this. And so, but you are generally speaking very helpful in like after dinner cleanup and things like that, because now we have communicated and have a little bit better idea of what the expectation is. But yes, I think the idea of you can't read my mind and I have to communicate what I want instead of expecting you to.
Yes, because I think
know.
sometimes, women might think, well, he loves me, and if he knows me, he just knows what I want.
Yes.
No, we don't.
So
Sometimes,
much of it,
maybe in some instances and scenarios, but that should not be your default thought.
It's almost like if I expect that, I'm setting you up to fail.
Right.
So let's set our husbands up to succeed instead of setting them up to fail.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorite scenes that kind of deals with this is from a movie called, I think it's called The Breakup. Do you remember that movie? With Jennifer Aniston and
my
Vince Vaughn?
favorite. Okay.
And I think it was supposed to be funny, but it was so true to life that it was like
I hated the movie.
We hated it because it was so real. And they had this big fight and this big argument that she's doing dishes and he's sitting down.
I died laughing
because it was so real. And the whole argument is he's saying, I don't want to do the dishes. And she's saying, I want you to want to do the dishes. And he's saying, I don't want to do the dishes. And why would I want to do the dishes?
Because I think he was doing them, but he was doing it like begrudgingly. Like, you know what I mean? And she's like, I want you to want to do. He's like, why would I want to do the dishes? Like, who would want to do the dishes?
Right.
Like,
but she wanted him to want to help.
Right.
To take some stress off of her. So,
yeah.
Okay. So,
guys,
men.
Listen up, guys.
All the men
I have a hard time with this one.
That are watching, this is what you need to know. When your wives are talking to you and sharing with you a problem they're facing, they don't want you to fix the problem.
Guilty.
They just want you to listen, to empathize, to support her, to be there for her, to have a place that she can dump some of those emotions, but she doesn't want you to fix all of her problems. She doesn't want you to respond with, well, if you just did this, or well, why don't you do that, you stupid, you dummy. If you just did this. No, she just wants you to listen to her and to say, oh, honey, I'm sorry. That sounds like a really hard day, babe. Can I rub your feet for you? That's all that we want. That's all that we want. And
it's hard, though, because as men, we want to fix things.
Right.
It's like ingrained in us to
to
care for
solver.
You, to look after you, and to fix those problems. And so it's not, it's not usually, you kind of made a joke about it if you did this, dummy, but that's not usually the heart behind.
I'm not saying you say that, but
I know.
That's how we receive it.
That's how you think it is, but we're saying like, hey, we want to fix this for you, so you don't have this problem in the future, that we want you to feel better right now, and we don't want you to be sad or upset. So hey, let's sit down and figure this out and fix it. That's our mentality. Right.
There are times that I have a conversation with you and I'll say, hey, can you help me figure something out? Or hey, we have a conflict, or I have this issue, or can you help me figure this out?
Yeah.
But the majority of the time, we just want someone to listen and to make us feel better. Right?
Yeah.
Right, girls?
But making her feel better is not fixing that problem. It's listening.
Emotional support.
And apparently rubbing her feet.
Okay, let's be honest. We're not really foot rub people. But...
All right. Well, we have our question of the day.
Our trivia question. So if you know the answer, you are going to text it in to 315-506-4506. And I'll put that in the comments.
Yeah.
And you're going to ask the question, right?
Yes. This past weekend, as Susie and I were on vacation, Pastor Jared preached and did a phenomenal job, kicked off our series called Clean Slate. So if you weren't in church or watched our service, you are not going to get this unless you're just a really good guesser. And so you could guess, but you might be a little behind. So Pastor Jared preached on 2 major topics.
Yeah. So I think they should give us one.
Just one?
Yeah.
Okay. what is one of those topics that Pastor Jared preached on? Hey, if you were here, it's going to be simple. If you weren't, you're going to be like, you're going to be lost. If you weren't in church and you didn't watch church, then you're going to be lost. But if you were in church, man, you should know it.
So we're in a series right now called Clean Slate. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, I love that the series is really about, we kind of want to have a series after Easter where we saw so many people make rededications, first-time dedications to follow Jesus, that, okay, the slate is clean now.
Right.
I'm forgiven. And there's some things and some principles, some life change that needs to happen, because just because you made that decision, it doesn't mean the life change has happened. So we want to walk you through, what does that life change look like? What are some things that I just need to know about this Christian faith that God is asking me to follow him? What does that look like? But this isn't just for new believers, because even as, longtime believers and Christians, we can kind of forget some of these things.
So true.
We can, we get caught up in our life, caught up in, things, and
I don't know that we forget, but sometimes we lose perspective.
Right. We need to be reminded. We need to be reminded of what is important, what is our priorities, what is our calling as believers and Christians, what does God want to speak to us? And so I believe this series is going to be great for our church, great for you if you've rededicated your life, if you if you're a first-time believer and made that decision at Easter or any time in the past several months. We're really excited about this series and heard nothing but great things from this past weekend when Pastor Jared preached. So
our winner, we had a couple guesses, or a couple responses, so that's good. People were listening over the weekend. But our winner is Maddie, who is one of our students.
Good job, Maddie.
Congratulations, Maddie. She guessed water baptism.
Yeah.
And the other answer that would have been acceptable is communion. So communion and water baptism, two of the elements of our faith, were the subject of the message over this past weekend. So Maddie, as soon as we're done, I will send out that Dunkin' Donuts gift card to you, and you can enjoy that after school today.
And one of the reasons that Pastor Jared preached on baptism is because we have our baptism coming up. This is the first time in a year that we've done baptisms.
Yes.
And so it is going to be the first Sunday in May, which I believe is the 2nd.
One of our favorite weekends of the entire year that we look forward to is water baptism. I think it's my favorite.
Yeah.
I think it's my absolute favorite.
It is Sunday, May 2nd. And if you haven't been a part of our church, when we've done baptism, it is a party. We want to celebrate with these people as they make a public profession of their faith. And man, it is going to be great. You're not going to want to miss Sunday, May 2nd, as we celebrate with these people as they're baptized. And maybe you need to be baptized. You haven't been baptized. You can sign up, and we're excited. It's going to be a great Sunday.
How old were you when you were baptized? Do you remember?
I think it was somewhere between the ages of 14 and 16.
Yeah, I was around there too, and I still remember it. It was such an incredible time in my life, and kind of just that statement, that declaration of, I am not turning back. Yeah. This is it. This is my life. This is my commitment to the Lord. So if you live locally and want to be baptized, we would love for you to come and be a part of that. Yeah. Send me a message or comment, and we'll reach out to you with all those details.
Well, that's all we have for you today with Mornings with Mike and Susie. We hope you have a great week. We want to see you here this weekend at Mohawk Valley Church as we continue our Clean Slate series. And you're preaching this weekend. You're going to hear from Pastor Susie. She's going to be bringing the word, and let me tell you, it is going to be a timely word for our church. You're not going to want to miss it. You want to bring somebody with you to church. We have services starting Thursday this weekend at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
2 Sunday morning at 9:30 and 11. We hope you have a great week.